And for today, we have a meditation Sunday on one of the Brahmavihara by Dr. Ng Wai Chong. He has been going through the Brahmaviharas in the previous months because every month we will have one meditation Sunday. So previously we had Metta, Karuna, the second one, and today is on Mudita. And Dr. Ng Wai Chong, let me share his biodata. Dr. Ng Wai Chong is a medical director of a local non-profit organization that is involved in aged care and aging issues. He has been an active volunteer with the NUS Medical Dhamma Circle since 1988 and was the immediate past committee member of Chakavala Meditation Center. He studies the Dhamma and meditation under Sayalay Dipankara, a disciple of the Venerable 𝐂𝐴𝐓𝐇. He participates in meditation retreats in Singapore, Malaysia, and Myanmar almost every year since 1999. In the year 2006, he spent nearly 5 months in Brahmavihara, a meditation center in Myanmar. In the past few years, he has been invited to deliver lectures at the Singapore Buddhist Federation Dhamma class, the Buddhist Fellowship, Kuomingsan for Kasi, Buddha Light International Association Singapore, Wat Ananda, the Buddhist Library, and several other Buddhist organizations in Singapore. Without further ado, let us welcome Dr. Ng Wai Chong. Thank you. We'll begin with the short guided meditation. Thank you. Thank you.
It's really so interesting. Whenever I hear the bio of me, then I cringe because I'm no longer medical director of a non-profit. But recently I am again. So it's really interesting. And then, but the bio, it's just a bio, you know. It's now I run my own company as well, a social enterprise. Almost couldn't be called a social enterprise, but I got the status again, so that's good. Okay, let's, what we'll do today, we'll do some meditation first, you know, make the mind wholesome, worthy of the Dhamma, and then I will share on a bit of theories around Mudita, and then we'll practice meditation on Mudita for the bulk of the session. Then we should finish before 12, then we'll have Q&A, or just sit quietly and do nothing, also fine, you know. And, okay, so it's Meditation Sunday. Okay, let's do meditation first. We do Anapanasati, so everybody knows Anapanasati. Let's just sit upright. As I recall, my teacher say the most important is being upright. It doesn't matter how you hold the position of your legs. I noticed Sayalay Dipankara would sit like this, you know. Then some teacher will sit one leg in front of the other. And then for the hands, I noticed 𝐂𝐴𝐓𝐇 like to hold his hand like this, so he sits. And then he sits on a big, his cushion is like a mound in his kuti. So you can sit anywhere. If you sit on the floor, then I find one leg on the other. If you don't have a cushion, I sit like this. Or a full lotus, that will be very stable. But for us, we have a cushion like that, so we adjust. So it's all very flexible. The important thing is the back is upright. Upright like a king or a queen, not upright like a soldier. Oh. So let us sit upright and close our eyes. Like the king or queen, owning our 5 aggregates, our moment in time and space. Recalling that we have paid respect to the Buddha and we're here taking the trouble to come, public transport, burning our cash to come here. And this is for the sake of paying homage to the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. By merely coming here, it is full of wonderful merits imbued with wisdom, because only the wise appreciate the subtlety the depth and the breadth of the Buddha's teachings. So it's indeed meritorious, full of wisdom. For the next few minutes, let us be mindful. So let's settle down, just be. Knowing that the breath is used by the Buddha himself on the night of enlightenment, as we pay our respect with our mind on the breath, we know that that is the direct teaching from the Buddha. Connecting with the breath, we connect with the Buddha. Regard the breath like our most respectable Buddha. Without controlling, without judging, without participating, let the mind be humble before the breath. Merely a disciple, an observer. In-breath is an in-breath. Out-breath is an out-breath. In front of the nostrils, above the upper lip, without following the breath into the body or out into open space, just let the mind be with the breath continuously, moment to moment, respectfully, humbly, gently, like a child, knowing the breath for the very first time. For it is our closest friend, accompanying us, journeying with us from the moment we were born until the last days of our lives. Staying with the breath respectfully, earnestly, in-breath, out-breath, long breath, short breath, naturally, no controlling, just an observer. Stay with the breath throughout its course, the beginning to the middle and the end. Let the mind be light, comfortable, equanimous, like holding a baby without exerting our force, but protecting the baby with our presence. That's how we breathe, how we hold the breath in front of our nostrils, above the upper lip, in-breath and out-breath, throughout its course. When the mind becomes peaceful, the breath becomes subtle, almost undiscernible. But we know the breath is there. It's just the mind is not mindful enough to be worthy of it. And so let us be patient and be mindful of the subtle breath, like hearing the sound of the gong at the tail end. As the breath becomes subtle, so our mind becomes even more mindful, more respectful, softer. Let go of everything else and surrender to the breath. And let the mind be with the breath and nothing else. naturally. Letting the breath embrace the mind and let the mind embrace the breath. If there should be a perception of brightness, doesn't matter, nothing special. Just stay with the breath continuously, respectfully, happily, with gratitude. For that's our conduit to the Buddha. At our own time, we may open our eyes, keeping the mind mindful. Okay, so just a bit of theory around the four Brahmavihara on Mudita. But Mudita doesn't stand alone. It's based on the practice of metta. And of course, metta is part of the four Brahmavihara, which we are currently doing a pilgrimage on. Okay, so I'll just briefly recap what we covered the last few months. We know metta, loving kindness, is based on the emotion of adosa. Adosa means non-aversion. Non-aversion means unconditional acceptance. So loving kindness is built on completely accepting whatever it is, you know. The perfection, the imperfection, the beauty, the ugly, and so on. The successes, the failure. So that is adosa. The characteristics, I like to use these four because we are trying to describe something that is colorless, doesn't have a form, you know. It is like a person who hasn't tasted water, tasted it for the first time. So adosa is, all of us have experienced it, but we have to use an instrument to point towards this is adosa. So, and not just adosa, but the developed adosa, which is metta. So it has the characteristics of lack of ferocity, non-opposing, promoting the welfare of beings. So pardon the language because it is picked up from Visuddhimagga, which is a translation by Nyanamoli on ancient Pali commentary text written by Buddhaghosa. So of course, translation, you know, you have to use a modern language to translate ancient language, so you see words like that. So I hope we can get the feeling, okay? Function. The function of loving kindness is to remove annoyance or fever and prefers the welfare of beings. The manifestation of adosa and metta. Okay, the one in bold is the description of metta. The one that is the normal fonts are the description of adosa, unconditional acceptance or non-aversion. So the manifestation is agreeableness. That means everything is agreeable. Okay, it's okay, it's all right, it's accepting. And sometimes instead of manifestation, the commentary text use another instrument called the result. So the result of metta is the removal of ill will. The proximate cause is seeing things as lovable. So there are many causes and conditions before the arising of an emotion, such as this one. The most immediate one is you see things as lovable, beings as lovable, then metta will arise. The far enemy is the the antonym of loving kindness, which is hatred. The near enemy is, it feels like loving kindness, but it's actually selfish affection. So you may not differentiate selfish affection from metta without wisdom. Okay, so with wisdom, you can tell, okay, this is selfish affection. So unconditional acceptance of all beings, unattached, like a moon shining down equally on all beings. This is also from the commentary text. And self and others are equal. This is from Visuddhimagga. There's a story of 5 bandits and 5 monks, and the bandit want to kill one of them, and the rest can be free. So ask each one, and none of them can tell who shall you kill. Okay, so because all are equal. The last point I've added recently, because I was discussing metta with a group of friends, and many of them do have difficulty feeling loving kindness to themselves. And also, the practice of metta sometimes accidentally can become formulaic, like just chanting without really feeling it. So I remember my teacher, Sayali Dipankara, when she teaches metta, she wants you to really feel it, really feel very tenderly, very moved by the notion that you really wish the welfare of yourself and others. Especially for ourselves, we are very used to being harsh on ourselves. Why? Maybe because of our culture of 要有出息. That means a culture of you don't want to be totally laid back. You want to do something about your life. And because of that, we always focus on the imperfection of ourselves. And some of us tend to overemphasize on that. And when it comes to self-love, it's very difficult. So you have to be very, very tender, very, very soft, very, very moved, observing yourself, including all the imperfection. You must love it. Okay, so that's additional point. What is the object of metta? So I've repeated it before. It is a being. Okay. So it's different from just adosa, non-acceptance. Acceptance. You can accept 春夏秋冬. Okay, you can accept all the different seasons. You can accept a rock. You can accept a house which is dilapidated. Okay, but metta is a being. Okay, so when we practice loving kindness meditation, the object is a being. Just like when we practice anapanasati, the object is the breath. Okay, not the sensation of the breath, not how we feel about the breath, not the body when we're mindful on the breath. Okay, not the body of this physical body. So the object of meditation on the breath is the breath. So object of loving kindness is the being. Of course, you feel loving kindness and joy, but once you focus on the loving kindness and the joy, you drop from concentration. Your mindfulness will be less, although you still feel good. There's a phenomenon, sometimes when we meditate, we feel very good, and we mindful on the feeling, then we actually go into sleep. Okay, so that is one of the problem. So when you're mindful, you have to be mindful on the object. But sometimes when you're too mindful on the object, you can very strain and stress. That's also a little bit of a problem. So you have to be mindful on the object without being stressed and without resting on your laurels of joy. Okay, just mindful on the breath. Always learning, always humble, never arrived. That's the spirit of a disciple. Never arrived, always humble, always practicing. Of course, you look back, wow, I come so far, conceit. That's a problem, okay? So we just always humble on the breath. So that's also the same. wishing loving kindness on all beings, then the mind will go deeper and deeper into absorption. Then, because the four Brahmavihara is also known as the immeasureless. Immeasureless, that means it's also for all beings without discrimination. Here you can see beings of all different ethnicities. They look quite youthful, but also all ages. And when it comes to practice, there are different traditions. The one that I learned is a very traditional Pali Canon method, which is from the Patisambhida Magga. Apparently, that was a teaching from Venerable Sariputta. So there are 4 words. This free from danger, free from physical suffering, free from mental suffering, free, be well and happy. And each one is, we're supposed to practice deeply until the max absorption. Then when we practice, you have to practice on yourself. So self, I don't know how to describe. I like to say, okay, you imagine your eyes is behind. So yesterday while I was preparing this, I was in a cafe, so I took a video, selfie from my back. Then I realized that, hey, my hand cannot reach far enough, so must also look at the wrinkles, then the white hair. So you see, metta, unconditional acceptance, means you have to accept different parts. Even sometimes, very revealing. You look at a photo, hey, I look very fat. Okay, that's also fine. Okay, so metta means you accept your body as it is. So this is self. Okay, then in the traditional practice, we send loving kindness to somebody easy to send loving kindness to. So generally, it's a benefactor, a teacher, or a friend. Then a neutral person. Then a hostile, antipathetic person. It's not easy to do that. Okay, frequently you want to send loving kindness to somebody you just had a quarrel with. Okay, all your mindfulness all gone. Okay, yeah. So that is. But to really want to develop the practice, the nimitta of loving kindness, if there's such a thing. Of course, when you're concentration, you have a perceived light, but that's not the nimitta. The nimitta of loving kindness is that yourself and the dear person and the neutral person and the hostile person, your loving kindness for all of them are equal and the same. There's no difference. A stranger, a family, a person from another part of the world, an animal, a ghost, a deva, your loving kindness is the same. That is the nimitta. Okay, based on that, then you deepen your practice. And then the next stage is the sending loving kindness to all beings. And in the Patisambhida Magga, the description is there are 5 kinds of general beings and 7 kinds of specific beings, which I've already covered in the last time. So each of these beings you have to practice. May you be free from danger until very, very deep absorption. And then may you be free from physical suffering, mental suffering, and when happy. So all the way you have to do 48 ways. So the practice of metta is really a practice of your mastering the attainment of samadhi. Not for vanity, okay? It is very important. The mastery of the mind is very important when you practice vipassana, because vipassana is demanding, okay? Then you have to practice in all directions. North, south, east, west, northeast, southwest, northwest, southeast, above, below. So I've mentioned before, how can there be hell at the top? How can there be Brahma realm below? You'll be surprised there are. Okay, so it's like there are many, many universes. Okay, so there are 480. Because each of these directions, you have to do the 12 beings, 10 directions, so 480. Because each being, you have to do 4 ways of metta. And then plus the original 12, so it's 500. Plus the original 48, so it's 528 practices. So in the practice, we have to do for a few days, okay, to complete the 功课, okay, the exercise. Like when you play piano, you have to practice the scales. It's a little bit like that. But you also practice that in order to keep the mind very used to the feeling of loving kindness So it becomes really easy to practice. Okay, so loving kindness, ultimately, have to practice loving kindness to all beings across space and throughout the whole universe, as well as many, many other universes, okay? Then karuna. Karuna is founded upon metta. The characteristic is it promotes the removal of suffering in all. And the function is not being able to bear. Okay? If you have karuna, you cannot bear the suffering, to see the suffering. Taking action is a separate thing. Okay? But holding the space of metta itself is the practice. Okay? Of course, we can take action. Some people say, oh, only sitting metta, no taking action, no hypocrite. But I've also seen people taking action and doing all the wrong action. There are also people doing a lot of service and so on, but when you really ask them, one day they will come to understand it's actually for themselves. Okay, I mean, really, the holding space of loving kindness is the practice. And using that and wisdom, you will know what is the right thing to do, and that is the more sustainable thing. Okay? Then manifestation is non-cruelty, and the proximate cause is seeing helplessness in those overwhelmed by suffering. Once you see helplessness, compassion arises. Seeing helplessness requires wisdom. That's why karuna and wisdom is closely linked. Okay? So success is when the cruelty subsides, and failure is when you develop sorrow. Sorrow is when you forgot wisdom, you know. You start to have attachment about your grief or attachment about another person as a permanent entity. Okay, so similarly, we need to be moved and seeing helplessness in all beings, even those bathed seemingly in good fortune. Like for example, some people ask, how do you have compassion to a wealthy billionaire? Or how do you have compassion to Brahmas and Devas? So that's where wisdom comes in. All beings are subject to their karma, are helplessly in samsara, you know. Every moment they're aging, every moment they are running the risk of Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, heart attack, stroke, and so on. All of us. So once you can see this, regardless of their seeming success and happiness, you can have compassion, you know, even for Brahmas. Okay. And the practice is, when we practice karuna, we have to practice metta first. Okay. After metta, then the first object is a helpless person. So it's quite easy when you go to the hospitals, go to the nursing homes, or you walk in the street, you know, I don't know whether is it now in East Coast Park, sometimes you walk at night, there are people who are homeless, okay? So once you see that, then you actually can feel it, okay? Then after that, a dear person, a neutral person, a person we have mild grudge against, and the nimitta is also the same. We have equal compassion to all. And when we practice, the words we use to trigger the emotion of karuna is, may this person be free from suffering. And then similarly to all 12 types of general beings, may all sentient beings be free from suffering, or may all males be free from suffering, may all noble ones be free from suffering, may all worldlings be free from suffering. Okay? Then the 10 directions, may all sentient beings in the north be free from suffering. Okay. Then same, karuna across all space. Now today we will talk about mudita. Mudita is just gladness. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you are happy. I'm so glad that you are offering, you know, the flower. I say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So these are all mudita, right? Gladness at other success. And function is about being unenvious, okay? Like when you see people doing good deeds, you see people being praised, you see people, you know, trying to to do something to improve their lives. You don't feel jealous, you feel happy, okay? So that is mudita. Manifestation is the elimination of aversion and boredom, okay? Like sometimes you're bored, but you actually look at all these beings, so full of potential, so happy, so lucky to be reborn in the human realm. Then you actually feel very happy. You won't have a moment of boredom. Then proximate cause is seeing success in others. It is successful when aversion and boredom subside. It fails when there is merriment. So merriment, of course, it's when there is ignorance, the wisdom is not there, whereby we feel the joy and we cling on to the joy, and joy is just mindful of the joy and there's attachment to joy. Or you are attached to this person is very happy, and you're very happy for this person. Of course, there is gladness, but then you have the attachment of the person. Okay. Then there's a bit of attachment to his joy. So based on one's sensual pleasures, and that becomes a near enemy. Same, mudita is all emotions. I mentioned on my first talk, according to Venerable U Mangala, he said this and I felt really good. He said, the 4 Brahmaviharas are the emotions of the arahants. Okay, so it's an emotion. So we practice mudita, we need to feel it, feel the gladness. It's not like chanting, may all beings be free, not be separated from their success. No feeling. Really be very glad. Wow, so good. All of us here are disciples of the Buddha. It's not easy to be a disciple, to be inspired by the teachings. It's not easy to have the health to come here, to have the presence of the mind to let go of, so many other things we can do, but come here, then we feel very glad. Okay, so being glad at others' joy when they perform good deeds, practicing well on the path, like someone doing volunteer work with, say, 𝐂𝐶𝐨𝐬, with Red Cross, maybe even with other religious organization, you feel really happy for them because that is wholesome deed. And we think, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So that is mudita. Sometimes even in sufferings, like how do you have mudita to help being? They are suffering, or animals. Wisdom has to come in. You need to know of impermanence. You need to know that all beings have the potential, to be awakened. You need to know that every moment in hell is every moment less. Every moment in hell is every moment closer to the possibilities. Okay? You can call it hope, as long as your hope is not an attachment type. Hope in the form of wisdom that it is possible. There's possibility of coming out of this suffering. Or like a mother seeing her child in the flush of youth, or a doctor or a nurse seeing a patient on the way to recovery. There may be pain. For example, my friend is receiving chemotherapy. The cancer starts to feel painful. That's because there's inflammation. The cancer is being destroyed by the chemotherapeutic drug, and so there are injuries to the cells, and then the body come and try to heal it, and so inflammatory response as pain. So we can see, okay, suffering, but behind it is improvement. So like the other Brahmavihara, when we practice initially, it's just this energy, this passion on the practice, this joy and happiness on the practice, zeal. Then once we become continuously mindful, the hindrances are suppressed. So that is excess concentration. Some people with that is good enough to see ultimate realities and realize Nibbana. Or you may want to practice deeper until absorption concentration. So this is the I download some photographs to give us an idea what kind of being are happy, successful, and you can have mudita easily? So some of us find animals easier, so the goat and the lamb, okay? Some of us find children easier. When we see Elon Musk smiling, okay, not easy to have mudita. Maybe more jealousy, but maybe a child or a lamb, recovering, okay, then easier to have mudita. So the practice is also the same, metta practice. Later we'll do it, okay? And then a dear friend enjoying success. So according to Visuddhimagga, if your friend is not having success now, or maybe not really in joy, you can recall previous joys. Or you can recall that this person will be doing good deeds or will have joys in the future. This is only temporary. Then you can still have mudita. Then a dear person, a neutral person, and a person whom we have grudge against, same, made equal. And the way you can tell yourself is, may this person not be separated from his or her happiness, her successes, and her potentials. Okay? So all beings, even an ant, has the potential. Okay, and these are worthy of our mudita. Then all beings, and then 10 directions, all directions. Okay, before we practice, I won't be going through the 10 directions because I won't need concentration. I'll just do very generally in all directions later, but just address some FAQs. How to have gladness in somebody who is not happy. We've covered already, requires wisdom, okay? As long as a person is a human, is worthy of our mudita, okay? There's potential. If the person is not happy, could be because he's really trying to be a better person, right? So there's mudita, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Some people is not happy because unwholesome karma ripening, you have compassion immediately, but you can recall the time that he's doing a lot of good deeds. This will be good karma for him and the potential for him to enjoy his life, and this short period of unhappiness will recover, okay? So rejoice in that. Or rejoice in all the wholesome karma from the past. Okay, you have mudita. How do you have gladness on the success of somebody who is an enemy? Okay, so that is also a hard one. So it's the same as how we have loving kindness to of enemy. There are many methods described in Visuddhimagga, but if I were to go through it now, I think I may lose a crowd because it's not so easy. Because Visuddhimagga is very ancient. The target readers are bhikkhus who are well versed in the suttas and the Abhidhamma. So I just digest a little bit. For example, the first way is if you have difficulty having loving kindness or mudita to an enemy, then you just send loving kindness or mudita to somebody you know, go into absorption, and then you apply on the enemy. Absorption, samadhi, samatha is based on letting go. Okay? So instead of talking about jhana or absorption, when the mind is not tense, when the mind just relax and be itself, respectful on the object, this is a respectful letting go, being fully present, the mind will settle into stillness. So if you find you have a lot of aversion, you practice letting go. Okay? And sometimes still cannot, right? Then you can, but some of us are driven by the faith in the Buddha's teachings. Then you can recall the Buddha taught in Majjhima Nikaya. As long as you have a moment of hatred in your mind, you're not practicing my teaching. Okay? So as long as we have a moment of aversion in our mind, we are not a disciple of the Buddha on account of that. So some of us, oh, okay. Then the body, speech, and mind of a person may not be consistent. Be glad on the part which is wholesome. So this one reminds me of Ajahn Brahm's story of the 2 bad bricks on the wall, right? Sometimes we are angry at this person because we only see the unwholesome speech or the unfair action, but we cannot read the mind. Sometimes we think that they are hypocrite, but they're doing a lot of good things, saying a lot of kind words. Then celebrate on the kind words and the good deeds. Or they are doing all the bad deeds. Celebrate on the kindness in the heart. So that is the way to deal with people that we have a problem with. And the person is really, really evil, you can practice compassion. Once you have compassion, it's easier to have metta. Once you have metta, you can do mudita. Okay? Okay, now all these theories aside, let's practice. Okay. Okay. So same, sit upright. Relax ourselves, make a determination for the next perhaps 20 minutes. Let us devote our time and our mind and our life to the practice of meditation, learning the practice of mudita. As always, allow the mind to relax and just be. Reverend Mingyur Rinpoche famously says, don't meditate, just be. With that, I don't know about you, but I can feel the vibrations on the body, and that is wind element. Sometimes I can feel the weight of the body, and that is the earth element. Can feel the posture of the body upright. That is also wind element. Can feel the warmth of the body on the palms, and that is fire element. Sometimes we can feel the muscles losing their tone as the body relaxes. That's water element. Let us focus on the water element, for it helps us relax our bodies. Feeling the head at the top, feel the muscles, feel the flowing of the muscles as they loosen their grip around the skull. Feel the muscles flowing down the temples, on our forehead, releasing its tension. Unclenching between the eyebrows, flowing down the face, the jaw, down the neck, loosening their grip around the neck bones, allowing the spine and the neck to adjust itself to its most comfortable, slightly curved position. Feel the muscles on our shoulders, softening, relaxing, flowing, just recoiling down our shoulders and our arms, allowing the weight of the arms to gravitate, flowing to our elbows, releasing the tone of the muscles around the elbows and the forearms, the wrists, the hands, as if the muscles are melting away, dropping, falling off the tip of the fingers. And feel the muscles around the chest, relaxing, releasing all its tone, allowing the lungs to breathe naturally, liberated. without controlling, just observing. The mind observes. And feel the muscles flowing down to our abdomen and our back. We may even feel the organs and perceive the organs in our abdomen resting, one stacked on top of another, gravitating down almost to the point behind and inside our pelvis, the center of gravity. And feel the muscles around our pelvis, the buttocks, the thighs relaxing, softening, melting, flowing almost to the cushions. With the whole body relaxed, let us visualize a person, and that is ourselves, seated on a cushion. We can perceive ourselves as if our eyes are behind of us, or we can see ourselves as if we are in front of ourselves, looking at this person. May the mind be very soft, very tender, completely forgiving, completely accepting all the imperfections and the flaws, loving every bit regardless, no judgment. For this was what the Buddha taught. Loving kindness is unconditional. And silently telling ourselves, may I be free from danger, meaning every word, feeling every love, allowing every cell to accept every love, unabashedly, completely worthy of love. Allowing the whole body to be cleansed, as if taking a cool shower on a hot day, by love. May I be free from mental suffering. May I be free from physical suffering. And may I be well and happy, regardless. May I love and accept myself, regardless of what and how others perceive me. And let the loving kindness be like a light at our hearts. And let the light shine across the room. Even with our eyes closed, it is as if our minds can see all the people seated in this Dhamma hall. May all my friends in the Buddhist fellowship in this place be free from danger and be safe. May all my friends in this space be free from mental suffering. May all my friends in this space be free from physical suffering. And may all my friends be well and happy. And let the light penetrate through the walls. Allow it to visualize all the people living in this part of the town, Telok Blangah. Perhaps we can perceive people at the bus stops, people walking in the pavements, in the cars and the buses, in the apartments around us, in the food center. May all people, regardless of race, language and religion, young or old, men or women, rich or poor, may all people in this part of Singapore be free from danger. May they be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering, be well and happy. And let us broaden the scope of our mind to embrace everyone in Singapore. May all people in Singapore be free from danger, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering, and be well and happy. And allow the mind to rise to the sky like an eagle, and let this mind look down across the seas, the hills, the kampongs, the cities around Southeast Asia and beyond, across Asia and the world. We can see all the people of different nationalities and perhaps the animals in the forests and in the plains. May all beings in this world be free from danger, be safe. May all beings in this world be free from mental suffering. May all beings in this world be free from physical suffering. And may all beings be well and happy. And let the mind spread across the whole universe, perceiving all the beings, humans, devas, brahmas, animals, ghosts, hell being, across space, throughout the whole universe. May all beings be free from danger, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering. May all beings be well and happy. gently, let us change the subject. Visualize a friend who is always happy. They laugh or smile before they talk. They are contented. They are meritorious. And we are glad that they are so. May this good person not be separated from her happiness, her successes, and her potential, her good karma. May this good person not be separated from her happiness, her successes, her wholesome mind, her wholesome qualities, her potentials. And let us visualize all our friends in this Dhamma hall are like such friend, happy to be here, practicing wholesome deeds, paid respect to the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, learning the practice of meditation on Mudita, lots of wisdom, enough to appreciate the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, full of wholesome mind, potentials for Nibbana. May all my friends in this Dhamma hall not be separated from what they have gained, their happiness, their potentials, their good karma, their possibilities of advancement. Be totally glad and immersed in this sympathetic joy with the vision of our friends on our minds. And allow the mind to penetrate the walls. Visualize all people living in Telok Blangah happily going about their daily business, enjoying their meals, enjoying their health, enjoying their friends and families, feeling safe. May all people in Telok Blangah, regardless of race, language or religion, regardless of their age, men and women, rich or poor, may all of us not be separated from what we have gained. May all of us not be separated from our happiness. And let us broaden the scope and embrace all people living in Singapore. Rejoicing at their fortune, their successes, their happiness, and their potentials. May all people in Singapore not be separated from their happiness. And let the mind rise even higher. Look down upon all beings in Southeast Asia, across the waters, the forests, the cities and the villages, humans, animals. May all of us not be separated from our good fortune. May all of us not be separated from our potentials for goodness, for happiness. And let us embrace all beings on earth, humans, animals, ghosts, the earthbound devas, the tree devas. May all beings living on this planet not be separated from their happiness. May their good karma ripen, and may they continue on the path to enlightenment. And let the mind expand across the whole universe, across the infinite space, above, below, across, in all directions. May all the Brahmas, the Devas, the humans, not be separated from their successes, their good karma, and their happiness. And may all beings in the lower realms rejoice at the shorter time that they have left, in whatever realms they may be. And may their potentials ripen in the Dhamma. May all beings not be separated from their happiness, from their successes, and from their potentials. Gently bring the mind back into the body, feeling the bodies, and tell ourselves May I be mindful for the rest of the day. At your own time, you can open your eyes. So that's the meditation on Mudita. Yeah, any questions?
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Doctor. I asked this question last session, so revision, I can't remember your answers. If you feel happy for the fortune of others, that's Mudita. Okay. If you feel sad for the misfortune of others, what is that? Does it fall into any of those four Brahmaviharas?
That is unwholesome, feeling sad.
For somebody's misfortune, right? So yeah,
You feel sad, that's unwholesome. But if you have karuna, compassion, that's wholesome.
compassion for somebody's misfortune. So,
Yes.
so that's not Mudita also, right?
That's karuna.
Karuna, okay. Okay.
Sadness and karuna is different. Karuna doesn't feel sad.
Oh, okay.
Karuna, if you analyze it, at the beginning there's even joy. The joy doesn't feel like, that kind of joy. The joy feels like you're shaken, you're moved. The mind is like energized. That's karuna's joy. It's like uplifting. The mind is uplifted by karuna. And at the base of it, it is peaceful. That is bliss, that's happiness. So karuna, there is happiness and there is joy. But it is not happy at others' misfortune. It is a natural phenomenon in the mind when the mind is wholesome with karuna.
Okay. The next, one more question is a practical question. I think many people believe that when they go for walk or trekking, and they come across monkeys, they cannot look at them in the eyes. So there's a belief that I tried that, but I extend metta. But look in the eyes and then extend metta to them, and they don't disturb me. I mean they are not attacking me. But there are some who want to show their teeth. So is the metta working or not?
Yeah, okay. So you send metta no matter what. Sometimes if our metta is strong enough and that being is soft-hearted enough, they can receive it. So when our mind have concentration and somebody else send loving kindness with concentration, there was once I was in a retreat. Oh, it's so funny, this experience. A friend of mine is from Britain. I know he meditated very well because he was in Power Forest for a few months, and Xiaodao asked him to join him in Taiwan when he taught. He wanted him to ordain as a samanera to continue to learn from him. He practiced very fast. So anyway, many years later, he's a layperson, then came to visit us in Brahmavihara. Then I saw him very happy, hey, hi, Then he just smiled because he cannot talk. Then we went to eat. Then I was sitting and eating. Then suddenly, because we're eating mindfully, your mind is still very mindful. Suddenly I saw his face at my heart base and do this, winking at me. Then I turned around. He was behind me and he winked at me. Then I think, okay, his metta is very strong. Yeah. Of course, there are other things. I don't know whether it's a coincidence or not. There was once after a retreat. Of course, when you're in a retreat, your mind is very mindful. Like now, only mindful for a little bit, but not like in the retreat. So I was on a plane in 𝐂𝐴𝐴 from Mandalay back to Singapore. Then I just practiced. I sent loving kindness to all the people in the plane. Then when I opened my eyes, the people next to me were looking at me and smiling. So it was very interesting. I was there I was sitting for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. So about animals, Animals are, okay, this is biology, what do you call that? Zoology. Monkeys, if you look them in the eyes, it is like a sign of aggression. I think you can Google. So that's why you don't look at monkeys in the eye. Like cats, I know cats. Cats, when they blink their eyes like this, means they like you. So animals have got different signals. So you look at them in the eye, even though you're sending metta, to them maybe you're being aggressive because they don't have mindfulness. Yeah, so they show their teeth. I think it's also a sign that they want to, they are scared, they want to protect, they want to warn you. Yeah. But can send metta. You know, in the forest tradition, the monks always chant the Kanda Sutta every night because there can be snakes and scorpions and other things. So they chant Kanda Sutta. It's about metta to all beings. So the forest monks would tell me, oh, if you see a snake, you just chant Kanda Sutta. It works. Yeah.
The good thing is that most ladies are afraid of monkeys, so I'm always helping them. I say, okay, I go there, you just go walk, you know, and I look at them in the eyes and I send metta, and they don't disturb me.
Very good. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yeah, please practice more.
Any other questions?
Dr. Wai Chong, yeah, thank you for the talk. You know, when we send metta to all beings, we wish them to be free from danger. But to most, I think, beings, we can do that. At the same time, you know, we know that some animals are being bred for slaughter. So while you're sending the metta to this ram or this animal ram, how do you reconcile the fact that actually they are bred to be slaughtered, to be food, you know, for beings and so on? I find it, when I reach that stage, I have to stop because it's not real. Yeah, how do you address that?
Yeah, so that is actually the next segment that we're going to do is equanimity, is upekha. You see, you can send all the loving kindness you want. You can wish every being to be free from suffering all you want. But all beings are still the owners of their own karma. Imagine you have the wisdom of the Buddha. You can look at all the beings. Instead of doing things that will promote enlightenment, they are still continuing their habit of chasing after the immediate pleasures, sometimes with unwholesome mind. How can you send loving kindness to humans? How can you send loving kindness to even devas and brahmas? You know, they are in jhana, but they are still not practicing until enlightenment. They're still enjoying samsara as if samsara is meaningful. How? So, wisdom makes you understand that all beings are foolish to some extent, wise to some extent, unfortunate to some extent, fortunate to some extent. And we only know this is the workings of karma, the workings of habits, different causes and conditions. We have to respect that. Even the Buddha cannot make us enlightenment like that, make us enlightened like that. So same, when a cow is being slaughtered, okay, because of past karma, this being is reborn as a calf, as a cow, for various reasons. As a calf, as a cow, they are never short of food, unlike the cows and the buffaloes in the African plains. They don't have predators, so they're enjoying their lives. Until the last moment, they are killed for meat. So same, you know, they're enjoying, so good, happy, right? But then they're killed, okay? That is the life of a calf and a cow. Why did this happen? If we can have divine eye, we will see certain beings, for some reasons, they are attached to certain encounters. And then because the karma is like that, then they're reborn as a cow, as a dog, as a cat. There's happiness, but there are moments of unhappiness, being slaughtered, being killed. We are very happy now, humans, no one slaughter or killing us, but we are prone to stroke, prone to cancer, prone to Alzheimer's disease, prone to all these things as well. So once we actually see all these things, we develop equanimity. When there is happiness and joy, there's potential, we actually have mudita. When there's suffering, we have karuna. The karuna makes us unbearable. So some of us cannot bear this, and we decide to become vegetarian. We decide to become activists, to protest against killing of animals. Not wrong, good, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. But there may be hints of ignorance because we are only touching the surface of suffering. The root of the issue is the beginningless ignorance. You may be saved from this slaughter, but you're not saved from samsara, a slaughter at a different life. So if you can investigate, why are people, when I was in Pa'au Forest 2002 or 3, there was a Chinese from Malaysia who was a monk, Theravada monk, but before there was Mahayana. He was sharing with me some notes of the monks recalling their past lives. So I can see some people are born as a buffalo because of unwholesome karma from their past lives. So if you can see that, then you can see, okay, all beings, ants, people can just step on ants, or a little, say, a rat. A cat can just come and just bite it and kill it. Suffering is everywhere. So if we have karuna, we cannot bear it. And when we cannot bear it, the automatic things first is to do something. I need to do something. What is the right thing to do then? Yeah. We have to keep precepts. We need to be generous. We need to share the Dhamma. We need to serve and help whenever we can. Empower ourselves with knowledge, skills, as well as resources. Become wealthy. Become a lawyer, a doctor, a surgeon, a politician. Run an NGO. Very good. But as we practice all of this, we know at the bottom of it is attachment and ignorance. The most meaningful thing to do is to inspire a person to practice all the way until Nibbana. Everything else is still short, but not meaning to put them down. Everything else is, as long as you have that wish to help, is very good karma. And if it's just help for the help's sake, because, then you feel good about it, it just helps you to be reborn in a good plane, that's all. Doesn't help you to come out of samsara. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Hi, Dr. Ng. Thank you for guiding us on a meditation again. I think the cultivation of the Brahmaviharas is very pleasant, and it's really a beautiful way of living and associating with the beings around us, whether humans or non-humans. I'd like to understand how the cultivation of Brahmaviharas relates to the practice with the intention towards enlightenment. Because I'm not seeing it in the 37 factors of enlightenment. So I'm thinking, how does it all fit together?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the 4 Brahmaviharas, if you look at the scheme of Eightfold Path, it is one of the samatha methods. Yeah. So the Eightfold Path, the second factor is the thought of renunciation, thought of non-hatred, thought of non-cruelty. So these are just not adosa, acceptance, and then ahimsa, which is non-cruelty, that's it. When they develop, this non-hatred becomes loving kindness, this ahimsa becomes karuna, becomes compassion. But the practice of four Brahmavihara is not at this part, it's actually at the samatha practice. So when we practice loving kindness and so on, why do people practice breath and metta and four elements? Because of our different past experience. Some people, breath, they practice, they cannot go anywhere. But they are person who they take to karuna easily. So when they practice karuna, their mind becomes soft and still and very sharp. Okay, then they can use that as a basis for the practice of vipassana. Okay, so what is vipassana? Vipassana is seeing ultimate realities. The Buddha used the formula of 5 aggregates. For example, in the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta, and their causes in many ways. The Buddha described as past, present, future, far, near, superior, inferior, gross, subtle, internal, external. So all these ways in Anatta Lakkhana Sutta, and the third sutta he taught was the fire sermon. So instead of 5 aggregates, you talk about sound and ear, and then eye and sight, color, and so on. So the 12 ayatanas, okay, and also the consciousness. So that's the fire sermon. Similarly, to see them in 11 ways, that is the way leading to seeing the path and fruit. But the basis of this is not merely a Dhamma talk, okay, because without the suppression of the hindrances, we cannot see things as they really are. Okay, it's only at the conceptual level. So to have the hindrances suppressed, you need an occupation of the mind for the mind to settle. Settling the mind requires balancing of the faculties. So the 4 foundations of mindfulness is how you settle the mind. Okay, and then you need to have 4 right effort. Okay, whatever that's wholesome, which is the 7 factors, you want to keep it there. Whatever is not developed, you want to develop them. Whatever is unwholesome, which is 5 hindrances, you want to suppress them. Whatever is a reason, you want to let them go. You let them go through the samatha practice. So you balance, you using the 4 foundations, beginning with the body foundations, that's samatha practice. You have the 4 strivings. The 4 iddhipadas is that you have strong desire, your mind is one-mindedness, and then you have deep understanding that this is the way, and then you have energy, okay, to strive. And then you balance the 5 faculties to become the 5 powers. And then when you balance the 5 faculties and the 5 powers, you develop the 7 factors and you balance the 7 factors, and the Eightfold Path are satisfied. Okay, so where is these 7 factors? Actually, it's based on the samatha practice of, for example, loving kindness, compassion, mudita, or equanimity. So equanimity go all the way to the 4th jhana. 4th jhana, the stillness is the best. The stillness of 4th jhana, you can see very details, because to see ultimate realities in details, you need to see their causes. It's not easy to see their causes. And it is not about theoretical causes and just drawing a mind map. It's not like that. It is when you have deep concentration, you see a phenomenon, and then the mind asks, where did this come from? The mind will tell you what are the causes and conditions. Where did that come from? That. Where did that come from? That. And that is the insight of causes and conditions, not by mathematics. Yeah, then you can see that there is really past lives, there is karma, and it's all driven by conscious ignorance and craving. A lot of us do not agree with ignorance and craving when we do good things. Actually, we have. A lot of us are driven by how people think of us. A lot of us are driven by how the community should be harmonious. A lot of us are driven by our memory of the mother's love, of humans. We are attached to humans without realizing. We are attached to being born and exist without ourselves knowing, until one day we suffer a terminal illness. Yeah, so the Brahmavihara is there. But also, if you practice other samatha method, we also need to practice metta, because aversion mind is everywhere. As long as things are not in our liking, disappointment, frustrations, we can have aversion mind. We can have helpless mind. Helpless mind can create anxiety. Anxiety is based on aversion mind. So metta counteracts it. So this is also found in the Buddha's very famous Majjhima Nikaya Sutta called the calming of the sankharas. Sankhara, no, it's I can't remember the Pali term. When you have an unwholesome mind during meditation, you practice the opposite. So aversion mind, you practice loving kindness. An object that gives rise to unwholesome mind, you drop the object, move to a different one. Consider the fault of bad karma. Every moment of bad karma is a lot of unwholesome results to be anticipated in the future. So you let go of the unwholesome mind. Then you calm the mental phenomenon by recalling, why do we do this? What's the point? Then the mind comes down. And finally, using sheer willpower. So there are different ways to overcome unwholesome mind during meditation. And one of them is to practice the opposite. And loving kindness is the opposite of aversion mind. Yeah. So for Brahmaviharas, is the metta is one of the 4 protective meditation for all meditators.
Thank you, Doctor. Any questions? Raise your hand. I'll come to you. Anyone? Let's call. No? Okay. Thank you, Doctor. I think there's no. Is that?
Okay.
Thank you. No? Let's say 3 sadhus. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Doctor, for the wonderful sharing this morning. So let's do the closing and dedication of merits. In Anjali, let us invite all sentient beings to participate in our acquired merits. Etavata chamehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya etavata chamehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya etavata chamehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Let us dedicate the merits of participating in a wholesome Dhamma activity to our departed relatives and friends. Idam me nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idam me nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idam me nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. End of service dedication. I dedicate the merits which I have accumulated to the cultivation of my mind in order to bring happiness and benefits to all sentient beings. I dedicate the merits to my parents, children, spouse, relatives, friends, colleagues, and my adversaries, wishing them long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity. May we never part from the Triple Gem, and may we always walk the path towards enlightenment. Closing homage, let us pay respects to the Triple Gem. Arahang Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivanemi. Sakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami. Supatipano Bhagavata Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you everyone for coming. Please join us in the potluck lunch.